Yeah, good evening, everyone. What happened, Mahesh? Online attendant. Suman bin algina. Transport ka. Oh, shift and hostel.
గోళీలో ఉంటున్నా సో కొద్దిగా అప్ అండ్ డౌన్ చేయడానికి మర్చిపోయాను
Mm-hmm.
సో ఫర్ ఫ్యూ డేస్
Okay. All right. So, in last session, what we discussed, we're done with the SNMP enumeration. SMB వచ్చిందా? Price చేసిందా? $58, right? So, in last session, we discussed about the DNS enumeration, we taught in the information, advice enumeration, SMB enumeration, and in last session, we discussed about the SNMP enumeration. So left with one more thing, which is SMTP enumeration. So what we can get through SMTP, we'll discuss. First of all, what SMTP do? Hmm. Valid details like what? What valid details you get? Passwords are, mail IDs are, mail servers are, what you'll get? Hmm. So SMTP is nothing but simple mail transfer protocol, right? So actually the responsibility of SMTP is sending the emails across the networks and internet. That is what the role of means mail server to mail server. So in simple way, I'll explain you what is SMTP do. So consider, just analyze this. So imagine this is Alice, okay, and this is Bob, right? So you want to send a mail from Alice to Bob. So Alice is working in some A company. A.org is his company, and Bob is working for some B company. Like imagine this is TCS and this is Wipro. So now Akhil at the rate TCS.com we have, and Mahesh at the rate Wipro.com. So if you observe, Akhil wants to send a mail from Akhil wants to send a mail to Mahesh. So, but obviously Mahesh is in working in Wipro. This is different domain, and Akhil is working in different domain. Or else we can take the gmail.com, that is also a domain here, right? So how this mail will be transformed is, so first, whenever you want to send a mail, first it will go to your SMTP server. So this is the SMTP of TC Wipro. Like consider this is the SMTP of Wipro.com. Now this SMTP server will look for this whether this Mahesh exists or not. First thing, sender will be verified with the mail server. So he has registered already. He has a mail ID on his name. Then that mail has to be forwarded to the mail server of TCS. But do you know what is the mail server of TCS? Is Wipro mail server knows who is the TCS mail server? Is there any idea? No. So what it will do now?
Sends the request to the TCS mail. Sends the request to TCS.
నాకు తెలియదు కదా టీసీఎస్ మెయిల్ ఎవరు అనేది. My question here is, Akhil is sending a mail to Mahesh. Akhil is running on TCS domain. Mahesh is running on Wipro domain, two different domains. So now I want to send the mail from TCS to Wipro or Wipro to TCS. So imagine I'm sending from Wipro to TCS, but Wipro SMTP server is not having idea about the TCS SMTP server. So what is SMTP server of TCS? I don't know. So who will provide that details? So it will make a request to the, who is this? DNS server. So which record will provide the mail exchanger information? Which record, DNS record, will provide the mail exchanger information? A record and all. MX record, DNS records idea on the A record will give the IPv4 information. Quad A will give the information of IPv6. CNAME will give the information about these subdomains and domains or alias names. Or name servers will give the where the domain is hosted. Or MX record will give the information of mail exchanger. So it will get the MX record. It will get the MX record of b.org. Means what is the TCS mail server? Asking to whom? DNS. So DNS will give the query to the DNS records. DNS records will have that information. From there, it got the mail server of the Wipro. Now this SMTP server knows what is the mail server of TCS. Now will it connect to that? It connected. Now this fellow will check whether this Achilles exists or not. Achilles exists or not. It will check in their mail server. So exist. Then it will send the mail using the. So the responsibility of SMTP is to send the mail, and to receive the mail, POP3 or IMAP. These two things will use. So this is how your SMTP works actually. So SMTP role is to send emails across multiple networks and the internet. It works at the application layer of TCP/IP model. So SMTP is mainly responsible for sending the email from client to mail server and sending the mails between the mail servers or relaying the email across the internet. SMTP does not normally retrieve the emails, means it is not responsible to receive the mails. It is responsible to send the mails. So mail send cheyadaniki maatrame use avutundi. So this is used to send the mails only. It is not used for retrieving the mail. So the main responsibility of SMTP server is sending the mail from one mail server to another mail server. That is what the responsibility of SMTP. Clear, everyone? Is that clear? How SMTP works here? All right. Is that clear online? What about others? Srinitya, Ramesh, Mohammed. Is that clear for you? Fine. So, what are the port numbers of SMTP? SMTP port numbers. 25, 445, 445, 445 then key. 445 then key. SMB key. SMB key. I'm asking about SMTP. Hey, Mahesh, we near pe kuchabeti. Port numbers మర్చిపోతే ఎట్లా మీకు చెప్పిన నిద్ర లేప అడిగిన కూడా చెప్పేటట్టు ప్రిపేర్ అవ్వాలని. Very important. Based on the services only, you need to perform the or map the attack. So you have 25 port, okay, 5, 8, 7 port number, 4, 6, 5 port number, and 2, 5, 2, 5 port number. So you have these many port numbers. So difference of all these port numbers. So 25, usually it's a default port number, but no encryption. It's a default port number for SMTP, but it doesn't have any encryption, no TLS. So the data can be leaked or can be easily sniffed. It's not secure service. So next you have a 587. We call this as a mail submission, right? So mail submission. Okay. So it's like encryption only. It will go with the command call start TLS. Start TLS menu. Right, means it will enable the TLS to the SMTP server. And next 465, which we call this as a secure SMTP, right? So this is completely implemented with the SSL and TLS, right? And even we have an alternate SMTP. This is an optional TLS, you can say, right? So it go with the optional base, right? So which is alternative of SMTP. So these are the ports we have. So 25 is a traditional SMTP, mainly used for mail server to mail server communication. So everything will be in plain text. By default, it will send the data in plain text. So mostly this thing was blocked by the ISPs. So ISPs will disable this port actually. So to prevent the spam, you get a phishing emails or continuous mail relays attacks. So those things can be blocked by this, by disabling this port. So most of the services will block this service. So won't show you as a port open. And 587 is a modern mail submission port. It's a modern mail submission port. So it is mainly used by your Outlook, Thunderbird, or even your Gmail SMTP submission. So these things will use. So this uses the start TLS encryption. So it will connect the unencrypted and upgrade to the TLS using the start TLS. Means default, it is also not having the encryption, but while it start any connectivity, it will go with a command like start TLS. It will implement this and start communicating. So it will upgrade itself, right? And 465, it's completely encrypted, fully encrypted one. So it encrypts, starts immediately after the connection. It's not like after connecting, implementing the start TLS command, and then it won't start the application. Here itself, default, it will start with the encryption only. So it's a secure mail submission, we can say, right? And 2525, it's an alternative SMTP port. When 25 port is blocked and 587 port is unavailable, at the time they use this 2525 service. So mostly this is used by your cloud providers. So cloud providers use this, or email APIs will use this 2525 service. So these are the different port numbers we have here. Got it? Is that clear? Right. So to receive the mail, what they use? IMAP or POP. POP is a vulnerable. POP3 is secure one. So the port number for POP3 is what is the port number for POP3? 110. I know there is an alternate port number also. 995. You know what's the difference of these two? One is encrypted, one is not encrypted. So 110 is unencrypted connection, and 995 is a encrypted connection we have. Okay. And you can go with the IMAP also, which is 143. So here the alternate we have 193. So again, this is one is for encrypted and another one is unencrypted scenario. right? So whenever you see SMTP port open now, make sure you need to secure that port, or you need to disable that from network. Either the way you need to protect that. If not, what happened? Yeah, 143 is unencrypted, 193 is encrypted one. Nine nine three. Yeah. Okay. Nine nine three for IMAP security we have. See 995 only for POP3. So 993 is for actually is I think IMAP security will be there, like Internet Message Access Control Protocol security, that is. So alternate of your 143. You can go with 993 here. Yeah. So 993 and 995 will be there. No, it won't be fully secure by itself. See, that is depends on the mail servers, na. So it's not a specific server every time. It won't be the same for all the sources here. Getting my point? So not all the sources will have security. Same process. So if you see, this was actually used to send the data in plain text in general. Okay, so we need to implement the security for that manually, right? So there won't be any built-in encryption in original SMTP. So there won't be SSL, there won't be any TLS, there won't be any confidentiality. So emails can be interrupted during the transmit, and message content can be visible to the intermediate server. So we need to manually configure the SMTP. So, but that is what they implemented. You know, when it got implemented almost in 1980s, we got the mail SMTP services. Almost in 1980s, we got this SMTP. So at that time, they didn't have a trusted networks. So, and even they don't have any hostile environments here. So because of that, SMTP by itself has several major security weaknesses. So due to that, it won't have. But now modern, they came up with the SMTPS. So SMTPS is nothing but this 465 port number, which is security, and even 587, which comes with the start TLS. So obviously, SMTP does not verify the sender identity properly here. So SMTP trusts the sender provider address only, and it will send the data to that. So maybe that address can be a phishing, that can be a fraud, or that can be a email compromises or spam campaigns. That can be anything, na? So it can't guarantee on that part. So by default, SMTP will not be fully secure here. So because there is a SMTP spoofing, right? Or there is a email modification chances. So that won't be provide a complete solution of SMTP security. So because of that, no, by default it won't come up with that. We need to manually build that services here. We need to manually enable the domain key identities. We need to manually implement the SPF. We need to manually configure the DMARC policies. We need to manually encrypt the data end-to-end encryption. So we need to do everything in manual. So on that basis, it won't come out. So message or routing will be there. There is a chance for the spoofing. There is chance for sniffing, spamming, all these attacks. So that is a human-based scenarios. Most of the attacks. So we can't go with the complete mechanism of encryption here. Now we deploying this, but on the receiver side also they need to take care of. So because mail is not directly sending from one mail server to another mail server. So there may be many relay services in between, like how your network is passing the data, like one network to another network, another network, another network, and reaching the destination. Same here, your mail also will travel through many mail servers here. So that intermediate servers can potentially read your messages, or they can store your copies. They can go for lock credentials or modify your content. So SMTP itself does not prevent them, right? Getting my point? So because of that, it doesn't have a complete security. Got it? Right. So these are the alternates of receiving the mail. So to send the mail, these port numbers can be implemented. To receive the mail, these port numbers can be implemented here. So coming to SMTP enumeration. So what attacker can enumerate from this? So by going with the SMTP enumeration, we can enumerate the users. So what are the things we can perform through the SMTP enumeration means we can find valid users, right? So the process of gathering the information from an SMTP server is to identify the valid users or open relay vulnerabilities you can try. What is this open relay vulnerability? I'll show you. Kind of a spoofing. Even you have authentication mechanisms. You can go for misconfigurations. Right. So all these things we can able to, even what software version of an SMTP server. So all these things we can enumerate. So why attackers enumerate the SMTP server? To discover the valid usernames or emails, or to target the SMTP authentication by brute forcing the passwords, or discovering the real employees and performing the phishing attacks, and sending a spam through the servers, open relay abuse, or identifying the vulnerabilities of the running softwares or versions, right? So like that, we have many sources that we can identify through this enumeration, right? So first we'll gather the information about the SMTP, that SMTP port is open or not. First check that if the port is open, then you can go for enumeration. So now I'll show you how to and what to do here in the SMTP enumeration. Let's take my target. Let's take the attacker machine. Just scan and check port is open or not first. Just check the port is open or not. No, they can't. Email means like you're verifying that email as a malicious, or how? You're saying their mail servers to be blocked, or a specific mail ID you're saying? Normal mails means if that contains any malicious things, if it is going with the pattern basis, we can block that. We have a DLP, data loss prevention rules will be there. You can implement that in your SMTP mail server. You can block the emails from another organization. Can do that, but that depends. Without any proper reason, you can't block that activities. So if you don't want to receive someone's mail ID, we can block them. We have that option. Is there any script running in the background? Like which script?
I mean to say, if any user, right, normal me, I will send some suspicious mails, right? That organization will block directly.
No. How it works means, see, there are many different scenarios, Ramesh, here. We call that as a email analysis. We can go for the email analysis. Internally you can do, externally you can do. If you see, we have some options like, yes, we can do that based on the signature. We can identify that. So we have a DLP. So data loss prevention tools, we can say. So like it's like if any sensitive data is getting from our network or entering into our network, we can give some keywords. So based on that keywords, it will identify the data. For example, from your organization, someone is mailing some sensitive data like Aadhaar card number or card details or any employee data or any project related information. You can give these keywords to your DLPs. So this will identify that activity and it will stop that activity or block that activity. Even entering into your network to your mail server also, that can be identifiable and blocked. So that can be blocked based on the domain blocking will be there. So the receiving organization will block an entire domain like @ersegment.com mail ID. So you can block domain level, or you can block IP address of that organization. So you can block their organization IP address, or ASN range will be there. You can block from there, or you can block through the real-time block. Whole list will be there. So like spam servers, botnet IPs, or malicious mail relays, these IPs you can find it in online. You can take that IPs and give that as a blacklist. So it will block that activities. Those we called as a DNS based blacklist or real-time black hole list, we can say. Okay. Or else through SPF failure. SPF failure means whenever your mail server receive a mail and that mail is not authenticated, means SPF will get failed at the time. Do you remember this SPF, DKM, and DMARC? I told you in email analysis, if you remember, in module 1, right? So if you see SPF is failed at the time, that level, immediately that will block that mail ID, and it will remember that mail ID at the company and it will block accordingly. So like that, we can write the rules here. DKM validation failure, or DMARC policy enforcement, or you can go with the secure email gateways, right? So all these things you can implement. So you can block based on the script. Backend you can't analyze. You need to give some inputs to why to block that activity.
Okay.
Right.
These process will execute after receiving mail or before?
At the mail server will be there, right? So gateway. After mail server only, it will receive to your device, right? Even whatever you're sending from your device also, first it need to be need to go to mail server. So in mail servers, they'll write this configuration. So DLP rules will be there. Okay. So they implement that activities. All right. So this will prevent the employees or any other from emailing the sensitive files to personal accounts, printing them. So if you see, previously we have this Google Workspace, if you're aware of that. For individuals, we don't have this. Google Workspace we have. Previously, this is also known as, it has a different name previously. G Suite. Yeah. So previously we called this as a G Suite. We worked on this in 2020 at the time. Later they renamed this to the Google Workspace here. So this was launched in 2006 by Google Apps. So this Google Workspace, actually, you have multiple tools in this, right? So it's like a CRM. So that integrate with the application in Google Workspace. So where third-party CRMs integrated, or even you can check the Google Drive, Gmail, Calendar, even you have that doc, spreadsheet, Gmail, Drive, all these things, right? In your Gmail will come up with a lot of options, right? So all these options. So if from these sources, using these sources, if they are sending any sensitive information or receiving any sensitive informations, we can write the rule set in just Google Workspace. Google Workspace is an example for that. Whatever you're asking, blocking scenario. So in this Google Workspace only, they block this activity. So it helps the teams to communicate, collaborate, and manage the workspace. So it includes core apps like Gmail, Google Docs, Sheets, Drive, Mate, all these things. So in this, you can implement that security part. Okay. So in this only have the DLP sources also.
Okay, here CRM means customer relationship management, or it's a different?
Yeah, CRM is customer related one. So you can implement this workspace also for you. Workspace itself, it will come up with all the CRM activities, sales, everything. So you have a CRM systems also in this workspace. So it will check every activity, like your, like you have different, like Soho I'm using right now. So you can go with the many ecosystems, right? So yeah, sales related only, market space here. So they implement in organizations, if any sensitive data mean to be blocked, they'll implement that. So you have DLP rules in 3 primary states: data in use, data in motion, and data in rest. So you asked, right, how it can be blocked. All these 3 category bases, they block. So while you're uploading or receiving or through USBs, through cloud servers, so this is how they monitor the capabilities.
Okay, are we able to see these logs?
Yeah, you can. That is where you need to create a example. You can take the Google Workspace, or else they'll have that service. Some people will sell this service, DLP services. You can implement that, and you can configure to your system. Even your firewalls will have. FortiGate is providing that. Cisco have. Google Workspace is having that. So they collect these activities, and logs will be given.
Okay.
So those are like endpoints. So that will provide the logs to the EDRs, all these things. Right. So coming to SMTP enumeration. So as I said, this is the information where we can gather through the SMTP. So let's see first whether our mail ID or SMTP is open or not. Take your target, login MSF admin. So 192.168.1.3. So let's go. Scan the network first. 92.168.1.3. Okay. Now my target is port 25. I'm looking for port 25. So the port 25 is open. Actually, it should be disabled. Only it will work in the internal base only, but it got open here. So what attackers can do here is they go for SMTP enumeration. Like first they try to enumerate the valid users exist in this server, and using that usernames, they'll try to send the mails on behalf of that person. So that is where the open relay attacks will happen. So what is open relay attacks? In SMTP, you have a vulnerability called open relay. So SMTPs use this service called open relay. So what is the use of this open relay? So it's a misconfigured email server that allows anyone on the internet to send emails through it without authentication. So means on behalf of you, I can send a mail just if I'm having your user information. So because of this, exposes to the server to server exploitation by spammers. So it is highly recommended to immediately secure or replace it. So to check whether the target is vulnerable for this open relay or not, first we need to enumerate the users. So how will you enumerate the SMTP users means? In MSF console, you have SMTP enum, you can try that model, or else you have a tool called SMTP user -enum. So this is the tool you have. It's an inbuilt tool. So SMTP user enum is a inbuilt tool you have. So you can see the options also, the maximum number of processes, method to use for username guessing, is that expansion, verify, or receipt. So you have EXPN, VRFI. So these are all the commands. RCPT, data, all these commands will be there. So we'll discuss one by one. You can upload a file if you have a username, you want to check whether this users exist or not. You can give that, and you can give the host file. So all these options here, and here they have given some samples. So SMTP user enum -name, which is nothing but here more. So which is nothing but a method to use for username guessing. So here we have expand. So expand means what here? Expand and an idea on that. Expand is nothing but mailing list or alias names it will go. Like you can go with expand group name or expand staff, or you can check with the given list of mails and you can try that whether this fellow is exist or not. It will try with that. Same verify also. It will verify this user is exist in this mail server or not. Right. So verify is nothing but here checks whether a mailbox or a user exists on the SMTP server. So when I give this user and asking that whether this user exists in this mail server or not, it will give that information. If exists, it will say yes. If not, no. So you can do that. So verify is very dangerous here. Why? Because attacker used to discover the valid users. So using this verify command, they can discover the valid users here, or even they go for password spraying, like giving some random passwords and trying to log into that SMTP mail server also. So here you have an option verify. I for you is nothing but the users list. I'm giving some users list here and give the target. Target is, you can give your target IP address. And now this will try that usernames on the target and it will give output as a exist users, right? So let's try that. F1M. I'm telling about the verify. So verify this users exist or not. So I have a list of users like root. I created my own word list. And -t, this is my target 192.168.1.3. You can try like this. You can see FTP user exist, MSF admin user exist, and root user. So how many results we got? 4 results we got. So these are the users exist on this mail server, Now what we can do with the user? So we found the valid users. So now using this valid users, what attacker can do? So they can able to perform the open relay attacks here. So first of all, you need to check whether the open relay attack is exist on our target or not. So you can run the script. So you have open relay script. You can run this script and check whether your target is vulnerable for open relay or not here. Okay, you can check whether your target is this users exist or not. So nmap 192.168.1.3 and I'm going with -, script equal to user script. Run it. So what you got here? relay. Right, so all tests are failed. So why we got this test are failed here? Any idea? Because whatever the users this script trying is not exist on the target server. So what I can do is I'll go with the MSF console here. So I'll do the same method, open relay test using the MSF console. So here I'm searching for SMTP open relay. So I got an auxiliary. So what does this auxiliary do? So this to check whether this target is having the open relay vulnerability or not. So now use 0, go with show options. So here you have extended, like do all the 16 extended checks or mail from mail to our host, our port and threads we have. So set our host, which is 192.168.1.3. Right. So again, go with the show options. Is that right? So now let me run. So what you got? You know why it is not able to detect the relay? Anyone? Why? It is not able to detect the relay. You know what mail server they are running? Metasploitable.local domain is a mail exchanger of the target. So why we are not getting that means the users it is trying mail to and mail from. Actually, these users are not exist. What it is doing, it is trying this, it is sending the sender@example.com to target@example.com. So do you think this is example.com is the our target domain? Our target server is running that example.com? No, actually, this is not the users. Even sender is not a user. Even target is not a user. So obviously you'll get the output as a no relay only. You need to give a valid users. So we found the users. What are the users we got here? User, MSF admin, root, FTP, right? So let's take 2 users here. So what you have to do here is set mail from, I'm giving as a root @ what I need to mention here, @gmail.com or what? What I have to give here? You need to give a mail ID. What mail ID will give here? So here you got the local domain, metasploitable.local domain. So @metasploitable.local domain. Enter. Now set mail to from and to sender and receiver, right? So mail to. Now I'll give another user is user @metasploitable dot local domain, like how I'm having akil @ersegment.com, @tcs.com, like that mail domain will be there. So that is what you need to find. That is what you got here. So it says this domain ESMTP postfix is not relay attacked. So now we mention the valid users and their domain. Now run this on your target. What it says, So there is an open relay attack here. We have a open relay attack. So how it confirmed that means it send a mail from this user to that user. If you see the target, so now we got to know SMTP relay. So what attackers will do once they got to know that they have the open relay attack? Not login. Login awesome. I can send a mail on behalf of this person to this person. So this person thinks the mail is getting from, but actually root send the mail. Is root send the mail to the user? No. Actually root send cheyaledu, but the user is getting that it was sent by the root only, but actually it was sent by me, attacker. So I can do a email spoofing here. I can go for email spoofing here. So if there is open SMTP relay detection means there is no verification, there is no authentication. A user you can find and you can send the mail on behalf of that user to any other user that exists on that server. So that is what open relay attack. That is what they mentioned, right? What is open relay? It's a misconfigured email server that allows anyone on the internet to send the emails through it without authentication, right? So without authentication, I can connect to the SMTP server of the target domain. I'll connect to this target domain SMTP mail server and I'll send a mail from this person to this person, right? So that is what open relay attack is allowing me to do. So how you can do that means you can use the netcat or else you can go with the telnet. So give the IP address of your target 1.3 and connect to the port 25. Enter. So can you see the domain metasploitable.local domain, right? Now here you can verify the users like VRFI you can use. Enter. So VRFI. Let's check is there a kill user. What you got? So unknown in the local recipient table. So this user not exist. Let me verify root. You're getting 252 success. So root user exists. So like that you can enumerate the usernames using the verify command. Either you can use this one or else you can use the SMTP user enum tool also. Either the way you can find the users. So once you found the users, now just you can see here, I'm sending a mail now. So mail from colon, let's take root @meta flightable dot local domain. This is the address. You got okay? If it is throwing error means that user not exist. Now RCPT recipient 2 means the receiver. The receiver is MSF admin @meta exploitable dot local domain. Enter. Okay. So now let's go with a command called data. So now you can compose your data like hi. Just to check this, can't go with the attachment, all these things, just command line only. This is how your server interacting background through the commands on in real time also. So this is a kill. Have been hacked. So now once you compose any data, just put the dot is nothing but the quitting. Since the message was composed and it got sent. Now if you see target mail, do you have any mail here? New mail kind of thing anywhere? Now if you see ls, you have a notification. You have a new mail in folder like where mail msf admin. Now let's just go to cd where mail and go with ls. So cat msf admin. So can you see the message? So now the messages came from return path. But is that actually sent by the root? So here everything got failed. SPF failed, DKM failed, even DMRC failed, because this is vulnerable for open relay attacks. So on behalf of someone, I can make sure I can send a mail. So without any authentication, So this attacks or this vulnerability we called as a open relay. So for that, you need to enumerate the users first, and then using that users, you can check whether the target is vulnerable for open relay or not. If it is vulnerable, you can send or connect to that SMTP server through telnet. So this is what SMTP enumeration is allowing me to do that by enumerating the usernames. Got it? Is that clear? So whenever you found any servers are running the SMTP port open now, you can check in this. You can see whether the server is allowing you to perform the open relay attack or not, or enumerating the users. So even you can verify the users using the verify command, or else you can use the SMTP enum users, or else in MSF console also you have that. You can search for SMTP enum. So you have this. So this module will help you to perform the SMTP user enumeration. So we can use one here. Go with show options. So here it took already its own word list. You can just set rhost and go for 192.168.1.3. Enter. Now go with run command. So it will perform the brute force and check whether the users exist or not. So it will give that users list here. And can you see got the banner, means the SMTP server, what it is running on, right? The domain name and server information, Ubuntu postfix version you're getting. So the service and version information it is giving here. So once you got the users list, what you'll do? So you'll check whether the target is having any open relay vulnerability or not. So that you can run through the scripts only. So you have a SMTP relay script, you can try this and check whether that is allowing you to perform the open relay, it is vulnerable or not. So see, if you observe here, it is just giving the information detected, not giving the access. So to get an access and perform the connection, you can go with the telnet. So telnet, give the IP address and go for port 25. So then it will allow you to connect to the SMTP server remotely. So is that asking for any authentication? So why? Because there is no authentication. And now whatever the data is sent here, this is sent in plain text only, because port 25 is not encrypted. It is not having any SSL or TLS service. So whatever you're sending here, if you use the Wireshark, you can able to view the data, right? So this is the SMTP enumeration. So where attackers can use this open relay for phishing attack, spoofing, or hide the attacker origin. So like that, they can use this activity. So we need to be careful here. Right. Still it is getting fine. So this is the SMTP enumeration. Clear everyone? Any doubts? Authentications ఉండాలి, డొమైన్ వెరిఫై అయి ఉండాలి, ఈ సర్వీసెస్ బ్లాక్ లో ఉండాలి, అప్పుడు నువ్వు సెక్యూర్ చేయగలవు. సో if you're not implementing the authentications or not verifying the sender, then that leads to this kind of attacks on. So it need to be verified. The SPF, DKM, DMARC we have. So they use that security components. So it will verify the user is genuine or not, the domain is genuine or not, what level of access is having. If failed, what has to be performed? It should drop that mail or quarantine that mail. So DMARC policies to be implemented. So all these things need to be cared here. So how will you detect these kind of open relay attacks? Means either you can go for script, open relay detection script, or else you can directly connect with this telnet port. If it is allowing you without authentication, means you can try. There is a relay. So if it is denying, relay is denying, means when you try this, obviously you'll get an error called relay is denying. That means they disable the open relay. Any doubts online? So these are some common services where we can perform the enumeration on. So there are many other services also you can perform, but as we are accessible for these services in default, so we're looking for this enumeration method. So just to work out on this enumeration process, this is real life scenario. ఇప్పుడు నువ్వు ఒక సర్వర్ మెయింటైన్ చేసినప్పుడు ఆ సర్వర్ అనేది పోర్ట్ ఓపెన్ లో పెట్టుకుంటే ఏం జరుగుతుందనేది కాన్సెప్ట్ ఇక్కడ. అది కూడా SMTP పోర్ట్ ఓపెన్ లో పెట్టుకున్నప్పుడు, ఎస్పెషల్లీ దిస్ 25 పోర్ట్ ఓపెన్ పెట్టుకున్నప్పుడు ఒక అటాకర్ గా నేను ఏం చేయొచ్చు, నేను ఏం ఎన్యూమరేట్ చేయొచ్చు అనేది ఇక్కడ ఎక్స్ప్లెయిన్ చేస్తున్నాను. సో రియల్ టైం అంటే ఇప్పుడు రియల్ సర్వర్ తీసుకొచ్చి పెట్టుకోవాలి. సో రియల్ సర్వర్ లేదు కాబట్టి నేను మెటాస్పెటబుల్ సర్వర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ తీసుకున్నాను. ఓకే, సో జనరల్ గా రియల్ సర్వర్స్ ఆర్ నాట్ enable the SMTP service. That too, they won't run on this older port 25. So they go with the modern port. Obviously, modern services will enable the encryption, or you need to follow some standards like SPF, DKM, and DMRC to be enabled, and you need to enable the authentication. You need to enable the or disable the open relay services. You need to do all these things. So that's how we can prevent from these attacks. Okay. సో ఇది రియల్ టైమ్ సినారియో నేను ఎగ్జాంపుల్ తీసుకున్నాను. రియల్ టైంలో నీకు పోర్ట్ 25 ఓపెన్ ఉంటే నువ్వు ఏం చేస్తావు? దట్ ఈస్ వాట్ ఐ ఎక్స్ప్లెయిన్ రైట్ నౌ. సో ఫస్ట్ we look for ports open or not. Service is running. Yes, it's running. Is that 25 port or any other port? It's 25 port. Is there a chance to enumerate the users? We did the enumerate the users, and using that users, we tried whether there is open relay attack is available or not. That is where we use that MSF console. We use that open relay module, and we tried on the target by using that enumerated usernames. If I'm not getting the enumerated username, if I'm not getting the SMTP users, will I able to check the open relay attack? If I am not getting the SMTP users, is that possible for me to check the open relay attack and able to detect the open relay attack? Actually, I can't do that. So because I need to check what are the users exist, I can try that users on behalf of one user to another user, and we'll see will it is allowing or not. Right. So or else you'll try to connect with the target and see whether it is allowing you to enumerate the users or not. If it is not allowing, means there won't be any open relay. If it is allowing, means we'll consider that as open relay. Now we'll use that users and we'll send mail ID from one to another, and we check is that allowing or not. If it is allowing, we're able to see that mail ID. Is that server received a mail here? Right. So that means the server is getting a mail from root. So, but actually it was not sent by the root here. So I can spam this, I can spoof these activities. So this is an example for Open Relay, what attacker can do. So he can enter into your SMTP server of the organization, and on behalf of you, he can send the mail to another organization. Getting my point? Right. So that is what Open Relay attacks. So in real time, you need to make sure you need to enable the SPF, DKM, and DMARC. You need to monitor your mail logs. You need to restrict the external relaying. Means the relay services should be rejected here. And you need to enable the SMTP authentication. Means you need to require the login before sending any mail, right? And you need to disable the open relay here. Means you need to go with authenticated users or trusted networks only. So it should not disable the authentication here, right? And in organization level, they can go for blacklisted or compliance risk terms. All these things they can implement. If they failed, what happened? They can send the phishing emails, deliver malware, spoof your banks or companies, and get or access or information from the victims. So this is what happens with the SMTP. Clear? Everyone? I think there is some case studies related. Then no, you have in SMTP server. In SMTP server, you can go with the disable of SMTP relay. There will be an option in configuration of SMTP server. You will have an option called Open Relay or Relay Services. You can disable that activity. Right. So if you see in this scenario only, in this server, you can find a file called it's a postfix file, right? Actually, that file will be in. Just let me enter into this sudo sudo. Admin. Just go to cd/etc. Go with ls. So mostly in this folder you have all your services. So my service is it's a post fix, right? So I'll go with ls post fix. Is there? Yes. So can you see the post fix files here? Right. So let me enter into the cd post fix. Go with ls. So here you have the main.cf. This is a configuration file. So you can go with nano main.cf. So in this you have an option. You can check so relay host you have. So here you can see my origin relay host. So here you can add some lines of code like restriction perimeter my network or authentication or unauthentication destination reject, like that you can write a code here. So you need to add some few lines of code here where to stop the open relay service. Okay. So this is client side. Even from the server side, if you want to block that, means from the attacker point of view, if you want to block the this activity, you need to go for mail access. So you have a file called cd/etc/mail will be there. Okay, this doesn't contain that, but some servers they have this etc mail/access will be there. In that you have a relay option, you can disable that. So from attacker side also you can block, and from your side also you can block that. Got it? So that will be depends on the file, the configured file. If they operate this is what happened. Just now what we did, that will be happen if they operate the open relay. So open relay is a failed one. It's a misconfigured one. Getting my point? It is a misconfigured scenario. So just now whatever we did, they can do the same thing. So they can spoof, they can go for phishing campaigns, they can go for spam, all these things they can do. So whatever I said just now is related to that concept only. Organization is running a port 25 and that is configured with the open relay. And the attackers do the same thing. Just scan the IP, check for the port open, if open, check for the open users enumeration, if users exist, using that users trying to find the open relay. Once they got to open relay, they can send the mail or spam the mails with the phishing links. So if any employee click on that link, that will infect their system. So that's how they go for phishing campaigns or spoofing, spamming. They can perform these activities if they enable that. Even they can crash your SMTP server off by completely using the resources or processors, CPU utilization, all these things they can increase, and that leads to the SMTP server to crash. When SMTP server is got crashed, you can't able to send a mail or receive a mail. So this is what happens then. Got it? So just do work out on these enumeration concepts, everyone. I need everyone to go through this enumeration concepts. In next session, I'll start with the system hacking module. Okay. So before coming to the next session, I'll share a Windows 7 file with you. So make sure try to host Windows 7 on your VMware. Okay. So I'll share the Windows 7 file. So just download from that online. So it is ISO file. Remember, don't directly download that on your Windows. Don't open that on your Windows. Make sure just download that file. It's ISO file. It looks like this for you. This one. So just download that file, keep in your system, and go with the create a new virtual machine. Why? Because it's not a VM file, it's ISO file. Just click on create a new virtual machine, and here go with the recommendation, and here browse your ISO file and give that file to this ISO like this. Just add this file, click on open, go with the next. Just leave it empty, product key empty, and select like Windows 7 Ultimate or Home Basic or anything to you. So go with full name, click on next, give the name to that, and which path you want to install this. You can mention that one also. Okay, so just do mention that path and configure that. You can try and use that, but keep this for to learn the lab. This is kind of a lab I'm setting to run any malware or to run on the exploitations. I'm using the Windows 7 old one. So latest versions, we have the compatible error that won't allow you to do these activities. So first I'll make you to understand the attack process, then we'll see what are the latest technologies we have. Okay, so accordingly we'll discuss. So as I said, just do workout on Windows 7. Got it? So make sure before coming to the next session, just go with the enumeration techniques and then do install this Windows 7 in your device and come. If you're stuck anywhere, feel free to reach out. Don't blindly install them on your Windows. Don't do the installation on your Windows. Make sure to install that on the VMware only. Okay. Yeah, ended, but to make you to understand the process of how the systems can be compromised when we use the older versions. So whatever the version I'm using is the latest, it is secure. So we'll go with some older versions and we'll see the exploitation scenarios. Just to understand the concept. That is the purpose I'm making you to install the older version. But it ఇప్పుడు నేను విండోస్ అంటే 0 డే నేను క్రియేట్ చేయాలి. సో 0 డే క్రియేట్ చేసేంత కోడింగ్ మన దగ్గర లేదు. So what we are doing is we are understanding the concept here based on the existing known vulnerabilities. So whatever the vulnerabilities that are hitting the market, how we can implement that. Okay, what if we use the older versions or older softwares or operating systems, what attacks exist, how they compromise, what impacts that creates. To understand that process, I'm going with some older versions. And we'll discuss what kind of things we can implement in the newer versions. Okay. Right. All right. So just go through this, everyone. We'll stop it here for today. We'll continue the remaining in the next session. So I need everyone to work out on these enumeration topics and just go with this Windows 7 installation in your VMware. In next session, we'll start with the system hacking and the methodologies. Clear? Is everyone clear with the enumeration? NetBIOS enumeration, SMB enumeration, DNS enumerations, even your SMTP enumeration and SNMP enumeration. All right. Just do work out on this. If you're getting any doubts, feel free to reach out. So we'll stop it here for today. We'll continue the remaining in next session. So thank you, everyone. Thank you for joining the session. Have a great day. See you tomorrow. Is a module for enumeration module for system hacking module 5.